And so when you start to face off against challenges, when things are going on inside where it asks you how to overcome those kinds of things, um, that's where reality starts to open up. And when you're facing off against things, a lot of the time, what we face off against on a daily basis is ultimately ourselves. It's the challenges that we go through that allow us to grow. They allow us to find the way to overcome them. And one of those things is when we start to eliminate the things that are not meant for our lives, that are not meant for our positive growth, um, and to start to grow. And a part of growth is painful. When you're growing, I'm 6'2", and when I started growing when I was younger, and I started to get into, 6 foot range, you start to feel the challenges that you're facing off against. You start to feel the growth itself and the mentality that it takes to get there. Ultimately, it helps you to recognize what you're made of. And when you're facing off against those kind of challenges, when you're facing off against those types of things, we sometimes forget what it means to be ourselves. We forget what it means to overcome challenge, because ultimately the challenges that we're facing on a daily give us the ability to grow. And nobody wants to feel the pain. Nobody wants to go through the things that we go through on a daily basis to get there. We sometimes just want it to be handed to us. We want it to ultimately become simple. And things sometimes are not that simple. Sometimes the things that we go through, they're ultimately giving us strength. They're giving us the ability to grow. And when you start growing, when you start facing off against those types of things, you will find challenges. You will find things that will start working in your favor. You will start to find things that will work against you. And it's allowing the universe to work in your favor that really opens you up to overcoming challenge. And when you start to believe in yourself and you start to believe in your ability and your mentality starts to open you up, that's where you start to recognize that you really are what you're made of, And when you express yourself in a way in which, no matter those challenges, you overcome those challenges, then ultimately what you're doing is you're succeeding within your mind. And a lot of times we stop ourselves from that growth, we stop ourselves from that ability by closing our minds, by closing our ability to overcome, yeah? And so I took a moment to start to put that place into reality, to put that place into mentality. And it's amazing when you're going through things and you find a way to find the strength to overcome. One of the things that happens is when we make a choice that we're going to do our best to find that way, that we are going to do our best to look within for the answers that we're seeking out after. And a lot of the things that we look forward to doing in our day, our weeks, our months, they come from our mind. They come from what we write down, what we manifest on our daily basis. Understanding the energy that flows inside, understanding the ability to use our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. This has been a year for me that's been a place of growth. It's been a year for me where no matter what I face off against, I find a way. I'm looking forward to the upcoming challenges that are faced off against on a daily basis and asking myself, how can I grow through them? How can we find who we are inside? How can we find the ability to believe in ourselves? See, a lot of the challenges that you're facing out there, they're ultimately, what they're doing is giving you the ability to believe in who you are. They're giving you the ability to look within, and they're giving you the ability to believe in yourself. And what more growth can you get? One of the biggest challenges that I've faced off against this year is how to become independent. A lot of you out there, you might be faced off against things that you might ultimately not know how to overcome. But if you look within yourself, if you look within who you are, if you ultimately start to believe in yourself, then what you are going after ultimately starts to seek you out. It starts to ask you, how can we do this? How can we achieve this? What is it that we're meant to overcome? And ultimately, within our own manifestation, that's where we start to believe in ourselves, and we start to believe in our ability. When I first started motivation, meditation, and inspiration, the purpose in it was to make sure that people that have ever gone through some of the things that I have gone through wouldn't have to go through those things. And so when you're facing off against things, when you're facing off against challenges, and you find a way to overcome those challenges, that's when you truly find yourself, okay? When you find who you are within, and you start to find that you can be who you are, then it doesn't matter the challenges that are going on around you. It doesn't matter the things that were trying to stop you. It's ultimately inside of ourselves that we find who we are. It's with that place inside where motivation, meditation, inspiration starts to become a part of your mindset. And it's when you connect your mindset with your ability, when you speak out what you want to achieve, and those things start to manifest themselves within your life, when you start to look within who you are to overcome those challenges, that's when you start to feel liberated to be yourself. When you're going through challenges, the biggest thing that we have to remember is to become friends with ourselves, to become friends with the ability within. Some of the biggest challenges that I have faced off against, including abandonment, have actually brought me to where I am today. When we allow ourselves to grow through the challenges, that we start to embrace the things inside of ourselves, and we start to understand what we're made of, that's when we start to find ways to overcome those things. It's ultimately inside of organizing yourself, organizing your mind, that you will achieve massive levels of success. What does it mean to succeed? A lot of people out there, they consider wealth success. But the true answer to this question is universal yield. the ability for the universe to work in your favor, the ability that no matter the challenges, you have the ability to adapt, that you have the ability to overcome. And when you spend that kind of time in that kind of place where it starts to vibrate from within, it starts to manifest from within, it starts to become a part of your daily routine, that you are going to manifest your dreams. You know, a lot of people put out vision boards. When we can become the vision board, we can find ways to write down the things that we're going through. We can find things to allow us to believe in who we are within. And it's amazing what can happen when you look within yourself for the answers. A lot of times we seek them outside of ourselves. We seek them out in other people. But ultimately, when you look within who you are, you start to find yourself and you start to manifest your dreams. When you're going through challenges, one of the biggest things that brings in place is remembering the things that you have been through, right? A lot of you might have been through something or had a memory that brought you closer to a challenge. It brought you to a place where you are reminded that you can make it through those challenges. And it's inside of those challenges where you will start to believe in yourself. It is inside of those challenges that you will start to find the strength, the growth, and the mentality to be who you are within. So sometimes taking time to allow yourself to soak that in, to allow yourself to start to manifest from within your mind. You know, a lot of times we forget exactly how wealthy we truly are, what blessings we have inside of ourselves, what things we can make it through. And ultimately, when we are selfless, when we find the way to use who we are within, when we find the way to use our ability within ourselves, we find that those things that come to us, those things that become a part of our lives, they also are uplifted. And so it's not about just being by yourself. It's not about stopping yourself from your growth. It's not about holding yourself back from what you're made of. It's about understanding what you're made of. It's about understanding who you are inside, and that the battle isn't you versus other people. It's ultimately you versus you, and that the universe is here to support you. That if you embrace your challenges, if you embrace your ability within who you are, you will ultimately connect with the universe. You will connect with the ability inside of yourself to believe in you. And that's where we start to create a more beautiful world. We start to create a place where we uplift each other. You see, and ultimately, when you're looking at it from a sales aspect, a lot of people just go into it just for themselves. But when you look at those people, you know, I've been researching and studying lots of billionaires. And the thing that I've come to realization is that there's nothing that we can ultimately do on our own. Okay? Everything comes together by the people, by our mentality, by our ability to vibrate and allow the universe to work as our friend. And so that is an Albert Einstein quote. Become friends with the universe. Okay? We have a beauty inside of ourselves that can uplift other people. We have a beauty inside of ourselves that brings up others by you existing, by your ability to be here. And when your mentality starts to uplift, when your being starts to become that kind of vibration, the universe, it will yield. And so a lot of times when we're going through that kind of a place, we forget about those people that are there for us, that are on our side, that are there, that we can uplift at the same exact time as growth. And when we work as a team and we use the collective within our minds to open up this great universe, there's amazing things that can happen. You know, the ability to read energy comes from within the universe. The ability to understand, the ability to meditate, the parts that come from within ourselves are used when we share, when we give the ability to open up, when we use our mind as a growth, as a ability. You know, there's no such thing as a singular place. It is where we are on our trip within ourselves. This whole entire great universe is always just a field trip. We are always gifted to be here. We are always gifted to have that kind of understanding. And, you know, I think of my great friend who had passed this life, you know, Veronica Rosa, and the things that I learned from my friend. I think about, you know, the stage 4 cancer that she had, and, you know, all the people that got left behind that cheered her on this journey. And as I look at these places and these great the stories that I've been through, you know, you're welcome to reach out to me and ask me questions about meditation, about mentality, about the ability to open up your mind to a ability. But remember that with that selflessness, you gain everything. With selflessness, the universe starts to work in your favor. When you start to understand that you are that it's actually being attracted to you by your own mentality, that your own ability to open up, to manifest, gives you the ability for things to be brought in your way, that the only thing that will ever come to one is universal wealth, the ability to see oneself, to believe in oneself is a blessing. You know, I have another friend by the name of Mona Nairi, and she's an amazing inspiration to me because she's after a journey after self-understanding. And when we are seeking out ourselves, we start attracting the things to ourselves that are meant for us. And when you start to believe in you, when you start to believe in what it means to be yourself, then you will start to open up your being. You will start to open up what it means to be yourself. And it means to me that we are all connected, that the universe gives us the ability to manifest, that the Creator it allows us to be a vessel within this great universe. And, you know, from sales to helping people out, to understanding that the only things that are brought to us are understanding the Akashic records that allow us to open up within, that allow us to manifest within our lives, that give us the ability to go through the challenges that we go through on a daily basis, ultimately give you the ability to be yourself. And so when it took me time to sit down, you know, I went from, you know, being married with, you know, an apartment in San Diego to ultimately breaking down to homelessness, to ultimately finding within oneself the ability to manifest. You know, I think of in the bathroom the mirror. You know, when I first started getting back into car sales, you can ultimately look back in my videos on YouTube and you can see the place in which I started speaking that into existence. You speak your mind, and Andrew Carnegie said, what the mind can see, you can achieve. And so if you start to put yourself in a place where you believe in yourself and you believe in the things that are going on around you, if you start to believe that you have what it takes to be yourself, then you will ultimately achieve your manifestation. And when we seek out within our mind, when we seek out within our ability to be who we are, we can start to use that place within ourselves, and that's when we start to manifest. That's where motivation, meditation, inspiration ultimately came, when I was sleeping in my van by myself, sending what I had to, at the time, my wife in Europe. What I was ultimately learning there was self-care. I was ultimately learning to understand the universe can work in your favor, that your mentality can overcome anything that you face off against. See, that's what this channel can offer. Those people out there who might not have had those kind of instruction, had those kind of understanding to connect with yourself, that your internal dialogue matters, that your internal being matters, that the light inside of yourself matters. I remember being in a sauna for 5 hours without walking out, and then off and on for 3.5 more. I went and sat in the car, and every single nerve on my body seized up on me. Okay? All right? So I had a choice. Do I care? Do I choose to breathe? Do you choose to use your internal being? Do you choose to allow yourself to accept you? And the answer is, I'm still here. Which means that you can choose to believe in you. You can choose to be yourself, to put ultimate self-care towards you. And that when you start to do that, when you start to put yourself first, that you will start to find who you are within. If you look within yourself for the answers, if you look within yourself for the ability that you have what it takes within you, you will find the way to overcome. So, when we become ourselves, when we start to allow ourselves to ask the second question, ultimately, what does meditation mean to me? What does self-study mean to me? It means understanding that all those things that we go through are there for our growth. It's there for us to find ourselves. It's there for us to find the way to believe in who we are. That's what I have learned from meditation. I have learned to sit down and to study, to sit down and to understand that everything that we have within ourselves, it manifests when we put our mind in a place where we can grow. And so, I think about the car accident that I had been through that displaced both of my hips, sent my vertebrae where my belly button was out of place and elongated my neck. And I think about how when that was happening, how re-experiencing the experiences that we face off against give us the place to gain strength. Another place that a lot of people go to do this is when we exercise, when we allow our internal being to have communication with ourselves. But ask yourself, how many parts of your entire day are you able to do that with? How many parts of your entire being are you able to do that with? Ultimately, the self-study isn't just sitting down with your eyes closed in lotus. It's manifesting all those things within your life. Manifesting those things within your being. Becoming who you are within lights up this universe in such a way that you can become your knowledge. See, everything that we have, what meditation has taught me is everything that vibrates around us is already within us. It's the ability to absorb that. It's the ability to understand that. It's the ability to manifest that into our lives. That the only thing that we are here to do is to be who we are within. And when you allow those types of things, the things that are meant for you start attracting themselves to you. Newton's third law of motion: for each action, there's an equal and an opposite reaction, teaches us that. It teaches us how to use that, how to manifest from within, to manifest your dreams, to manifest your goals, to understand your purpose on the face of the planet. And when you start to simply use these types of things and you start to understand the universe, then we call this meditation. When you start to use meditation in that kind of a way, where you are becoming that, where you are becoming that kind of understanding, that you have what it takes within yourself, that you can overcome your challenges, that you ultimately have your being, that you have your vibration, we call this meditation. And when you start to understand these types of things and you start to use them in your daily, you start to use them within your walk, we start to call this discipline. When your focus and your knowledge connect within yourself, when you start to become that light that exists already within you, when you start to allow the process of you to grow, the ultimate self-growth within yourself, then your mind opens up. The ability to walk through walls, the ability for things to happen within your being, within your purpose. You know, I've been asked by quite a few people, so when are you going to do another video? When are you going to do another podcast? And this is me starting to put those out there. So that's why I ask that question every day, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? I've been spending this time working on that walk, working on that ability, using that in the daily, not just in word, but in physical format. And I want you to see that your discipline matters, your being matters, your purpose matters on this planet, that when you find that discipline, it will inspire others to see you as an inspiration. And the lights that you have within yourself, that you have within your being, that you have within your purpose is amazing. That you are a light in this universe. That you are a shining beacon that is meant to uplift others. That what you have inside of yourself is a blessing. And when we are understanding that the things that we have around us are just vessels, that we are just a vessel, that we are a blessing on the face of this planet, then we start to understand what it means to go within. And when we inspire others by becoming disciplined in ourselves, by becoming honest with who we are, to study who we are inside, then we have the ability to inspire other people. And that is the reason why I ask this question every day, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? Because when you are inspiring others, when you are more important than the things that are going on around you, when you become that kind of light within the universe, it has the ability to attract the things towards you that are meant for you. And you all have a light inside that can shine. You have a light inside that can manifest. You have a light inside that can uplift. And so it takes that kind of a place sometimes to walk it. We can speak it very easily. It's when we walk with that kind of light, when we use selflessness to uplift other people. When we start to use this great universe that we have, the ability within ourselves starts to open up. That's when the Akashic records start to have a purpose. When you start to understand that without each other, we are not able to achieve amazing things. When we work together, when we work with our communities, when we work with the people that are around us, that we can go much farther. And I just want to uplift you all. I just want to share that little message today. I just want to close and say blessings, blessings as always. Namaste.